Welcome back to my channel, fellow gardeners. Today I thought we can talk about this inch plant. It's a Tradescantia, and we've done these Tradescantias before. They're amazing plants, and they come in all shapes and sizes, of which I will show you. But propagation of this, which I'm going to show you, is so simple. I actually started with about 3 stems, and now what I've done is I hang them everywhere as I've gone vertical. So welcome back to my channel. My name's Alice and I'm the Red Soil Gardener. So with Tradescantias, I just love them because you have so many different varieties. And I have been collecting them over the years. And as I mentioned with this particular one, is I started with only 3 stems, and the propagation goes so fast that in the end I've filled up my whole garden with hanging plants and also had them indoors. Now the thing is that sometimes Tradescantias are hardy, and so like the ones I have here, they can tolerate outdoors. In the Northern Hemisphere, if you do have these plants, you can keep them indoors, but again, you have to keep to the requirement of the plant. Now the thing about these plants is actually the foliage. As you've seen, we've got this variety, and we have the one with the lovely stripes, and we have also different types of Tradescantias that do have a darker shade. But all the same, all the propagation is actually the same. What is the sun requirement? In direct sun, they really do well. I don't try to put them in full sun. With the dark purple variety, is that if you do put it in full sun, they do actually go slightly red. But apart from that, anyway, we love Tradescantias. Now, what is the soil requirement? They do like to have moist soil. However, make sure you do your finger test, and when it does dry out, you water it. And do sort of, if you do have these plants in your home, the best way to do it is either take it in the bath and give it a really good drench, or you keep a saucer underneath as you do water it, in order for it always to have a bit of moisture, but at the same time you don't want too much water around the roots. Now, if you do have them indoors, what happens is that because they are forest plants, I think they do grow in the Philippines, where you get a lot of humidity. It is important, especially during the winter season, when you've got the heaters on, is try to mist it or put it in a tray, as we said, a pebble tray. Group all those plants together so you get this humid environment around the plant. Otherwise, what happens is the leaves will dry out, and that's an indication that it needs extra humidity. What happens is that if you do grow your inch plant or your spiderwort or the wandering dude outside, what happens is that, like for myself, I have it either in hanging baskets or in bowls on a pedestal. Now what happens is that it does grow profusely, and then as it keeps growing and touches the soil, it does spread. And what happens then, it can actually take over your garden. We're saying it is invasive up to a certain point, but what you could do is, as it keeps growing, do snip around the foliage at the bottom and get rid of that, or use it for propagation purposes. In that way, the plant doesn't touch the soil, and in that way you stop it from actually spreading in your garden. So now I have this hanging basket. I found it in my garden. I mean, it's old, but then I feel that I can still plant my inch plant in here. And as it does grow and hang over, you wouldn't see that it is an old basket. Now, what I normally do, like this is a metal basket, hanging basket, is that it came in this sort of a cloth, which is a plastic cloth, which is not bad. But what I usually find when I do have hanging baskets is that if I just left it like that and I needed to water, because with hanging baskets you have to water it more often than a plant that is in a pot on the ground. So what happens is that once you do water it with this plastic texture, it will drain right through. So what I normally do with my hanging basket, I just get a really leftover blanket that can actually absorb the water, I just line it inside. So in that way, as I water, the moisture still hangs on the hanging basket and in the soil. So in that way, I don't have to water it every day. And the thing about also with inch plants is that it's okay to put the blanket there, because basically when they do actually start to take off, mature, is that their rooting are actually not that deep. So it isn't a chance that you're going to get root rot. So having a basket this deep is, and with my blanket underneath, I won't have a potential of actually getting root rot, because as we can see here, these roots for the inch plant, as it travels in a horizontal way, these are very light roots, and it doesn't get root bound that easily. What I did when I decided to do this episode, I went into my hanging baskets and I did pull some of these little sort of stems out of the hanging basket, and hence there are some with rooting, because I felt as that as we do this propagation, I may not get this hanging basket really full. So what we'll do is actually work with these ones and then add a bit of the stem cuttings that we're going to do for propagation in here, so I can actually have it full. So now what I'm doing is I have a bunch of these here, and all I'll do here is the soil is really well, it's very organic, it's got bark inside, it is very light and well draining, and I did put a bit of vermiculite in there for water retention, but I think this will work really well for my inch plant. So I'm just going to take these ones that I pulled out and just circle it in here. So just make the hole and place it like that. And then we'll mix these with some of the stem propagations that we're doing. And the thing is, as I place this in this pot, is that from every single node that you do have on your inch plant, you will get rooting. And it just does appear that sometimes it does travel horizontally. So I will get all from this nodes here, I will get rooting, so it will get bushier. So in a way, with this, pulling these plants from another pot is actually, you could say it's actually a propagation by division, where you do sort of, when your pot does get very congested, just pull it out through division, and with your rooting, you could actually start another pot. Now, yesterday, again, I got so motivated and I wanted to show you how propagation will work. So I did get my soil here, and I'm going to kindly just pull these out because I stuck them inside, and I'll show you why I stuck them inside. So I'm just going to pull these out. So when you're doing a soil propagation, what you need to do is, if you pull your leaf out like this, you'll see there's a node, and here again, that is the node where the rooting will come from. And again, if I pull this one off, and where you get the leaf joining the stem is where you will get your rooting. So what I did simply here is just got my stems from the plant, and all I do here, as I've done before, is just submerge it, make sure your nodes are under the ground. I'm going to ensure that that node goes in the soil and I will get rooting. So again, the same thing, a node here, a node here, a node here. I'm just going to stick it in the soil, and that is exactly how you do a soil propagation for this inch plant Tradescantia. So now another way of actually propagating our inch plant Tradescantia is actually taking your stem, cleaning it, taking a few of these leaves off, just like that. Just pull them. And then you see we have several nodes here. So what I simply do, have your glass of water and just stick it in. Make sure that the nodes are, I'll just remove this leaf. Just make sure that the nodes are submerged and try not to get the leaves touching the water. Just get them a bit higher so that the leaves don't touch the water, because what happens is that once you do get the leaves touching the water, they will rot and you will get algae, and the water won't be clean. So basically, here we are. We've done a water propagation. We've done a soil propagation, which basically we took some of the plant and divided it, and it did have rooting, and we stuck it in here. And then we did a soil propagation where we took stems that hadn't rooted yet, but we stuck them in here because basically we're going to keep this, this hanging basket moist, and we will get rooting. And here we have a water propagation, a soil propagation, and basically with that, we're good to go. In the end, we will get our beautiful Tradescantia Zebrina, as in this one. It will start taking shape and it will hang over because it's all about the foliage. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to us. And don't forget to press that notification button so you're always notified when we do upload our video, our episode. And don't forget, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, on YouTube. Do send me your comments, and even in Instagram. And basically is have a happy gardening day. Do go and get yourself some of these beautiful inch plants.